Praise the name of the Lord. How are you and how have you been? My name is Njoki Mithamo. I'm born again. The Lord is my Savior. I'm grateful to come to you once again on behalf of the Health Board, Tengela Township Church. And during our week, we have a theme that is talking about come back with sense. Our leading word is from the book of Luke, chapter 15, verse 17 and 18a. And mainly, we want to focus on facing alcoholism. And if you look at the word that is leading us, it is talking about the prodigal son. That when the prodigal son came back to his senses, he went back to his father. So I'm challenging you, my viewer, that after this video, if you get to learn something, and if you feel that you had gone astray or out of your way or the ways of your father, I urge you on to come back to your senses and come back to your father. So, we're going to start with what is alcoholism. And before I tell you what alcoholism actually is, I want us to dwell a little bit on, to indulge you a bit on the statistics about alcohol and alcohol use. It is recorded that there is an average of 3.3 billion users globally who use alcohol. And these people, out of those people who use alcohol, 3.5 million people die annually directly from alcohol use or alcohol-related causes. It is recorded in 2011 that the youngest alcohol user was at the age of 3. Imagine 3 years old. At least 60% of those people who are between the age of 15 and 49 are alcohol users. And out of that 60%, 40% are currently living with alcohol use disorder or what we commonly know as alcoholism. It is reported that 39 deaths happen globally every minute out of alcohol and alcohol-related causes. So, do you think that alcoholism qualifies to be a pandemic? Now that you have the statistics with you and you understand where we are at with numbers, what is alcoholism then? What do you qualify as alcoholism? Alcoholism, number one, is a disease. Yeah? And it is also an addiction. The disease, according to the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, it is explained as a strong and uncontrollable desire to drink alcohol. And it creates a pattern of drinking that results to significant life distress and problems functioning in one's life. I urge you to indulge in getting to a bit have an idea of exactly what I mean with that. That one, it is a strong and controllable. I need you to see that in bold. Strong and uncontrollable desire to drink. And what qualifies alcoholism is 4 things. 1, craving. When you have that craving for alcohol and you have a compulsive need to use it, and then you are unable to control it, and sometimes you are unable to manage the consequences. That is what qualifies for alcoholism. So, as you can see, what then characterizes alcohol use disorder is exactly what I've just mentioned. Uncontrollable urge, the need or craving for a drink, loss of control, you are unable to stop drinking once you start, and there is tolerance, that is the need to take greater amounts of alcohol in order to achieve a high or to feel that you're drunk. Then there's physical dependence, which is characterized by withdrawal syndromes such as shaking, sweating, nausea, anxiety, unstable moods, and you will have to get another drink in order to be able to sustain yourself or to operate normally. The street word I hear usually is kugonga head or kugonga mbengo or kutoa knock, whichever works for you. You understand what I mean. So then we are facing alcoholism. Yeah, we are facing alcoholism. Clearly, it is a thorn in our flesh, and therefore we need to ask ourselves these questions. How did we get there? Yeah, is there a way out? Is there a way we can help ourselves and the generation to come not to get to where we currently are? So, how do you get to know that? You need to know, first of all, what causes alcoholism. And I'm sure if I asked you, you could give me a few causes here and there, and whatever you think is the cause, it's true. So we start with the genealogical predisposition or your family tree. If you look at your family, what is your history? Where you come from? Are there people who have previously been alcohol users or abusers? If yes, then that means it's true. You are genetically predisposed to being an alcohol abuser or user. Number two, if you have unresolved trauma, and this means that you have experienced adverse things in your life and you are unable to cope. So sometimes you might need to use alcohol in order to calm yourself. For example, if you think of military people, most of the time they experience adverse events in their lives, very traumatic, and mostly because sometimes they do not seek therapy or help, they are unable to cope with how they feel and see things. So they will end up sometimes using alcohol in order to calm themselves down. Another thing would be social learning. That is the environment that you expose yourself to. If the environment that you expose yourself to encourages or normalizes maladaptive drinking behaviors, then in that case, you can be sure that you will also continue to normalize the behavior of taking alcohol, and continuously, when you form that habit, then it ends up as a problem or a disorder. Sometimes it's the issue of culture. There are people who normalize their cultures in their events, or normally they will take part in drinking alcohol. So that is also another cause. Availability of alcohol. For example, if you walk along a place where there's bars or the sale of alcohol most of the time, or you are observing people who drink continuously, it is easy to get used to that kind of environment and to also start using alcohol because of what you see. Human beings most of the time learn habits from what they see. The issues of unprocessed loss and grief, then in that case, sometimes people who have not processed how they feel about their losses or are still grieving might end up using alcohol in order to be able to cope. There are people who have mental conditions such as bipolar, depression, post-traumatic stress disorders, and OCD or compulsive disorders, anxiety. These people are predisposed to using alcohol in order to calm how they feel or in order to be able to cope. If somebody has self-esteem issues, that person is likely to take alcohol in order to feel a bit worthy. And for example, I don't know where you come from, but I'm very sure you have ever had somebody who's going home drunk and asking people along the way, "Oh, Johnny, do you know me? Do you know how many calories I have?" I'm sure you know those kind of people. Those kind of people are definitely suffering from their view of self, or they don't have self-worth or self-esteem issues. Then there are personal choices. There's somebody who is not having any of those issues, but they just decide that they just want to use alcohol. Initially, it starts as a social behavior, and gradually it gravitates into a habit, and finally into a disorder. Then there is peer pressure, the need to belong. If you keep company of people who drink, the Bible warns us in Proverbs 23:20 and 21. It tells us not to engage in the company of those people who drink. Yeah, avoid the company of those who drink, because you will eventually end up drinking. And also, finally, the people who are unable to cope with stress or do not have healthy coping mechanisms for their stress. So what is the warning sign that you are abusing alcohol? You know, normally you are the one who will start with abusing alcohol. But as time goes by, unfortunately, when it gravitates into a disorder, it is alcohol that will be abusing you. I hope you choose well. So what are these warning signs? These warning signs are: one, it's feeling a strong urge or craving to drink. Number two, it's an inability to control the alcohol that one consumes. That means maybe you had an intention of bringing 2 bottles and you end up with 10. Then there's high tolerance of alcohol. Again, because the 2 bottles did not work for you, that is how you ended up with a 10. Then there's an inherent need to cut down or to reduce alcohol. That means even your conscious is telling you that what you're doing is not right. Failing to fulfill major obligations at family levels, at work, or at home, or at school because of alcohol use. Then there's continuing to drink excessively despite knowing that the outcome or the consequences are not very good. There's spending excessive time or amount of time drinking or obtaining a drink or recovering from alcohol. It means that, for example, if you get into a bar or into a place where people are drinking, you might end up using more than 8 hours or 5 hours in a bar, for example, and you end up probably going home late. For example, you used to go home at 8 and now you go home at 3 a.m. in the morning. You see, in that case, you have used excessive time drinking. And in the book of, if you go to the book of Proverbs 23:31, it tells us to avoid excessive drinking. And because when you drink, you're not going to be able to recover. And it actually goes ahead to even describe how one feels and how altered their judgment is. So, when you drinking interrupts home and school work life and relationship it is strained, then you know that you're not walking on the right path. Limiting or erasing activities that used to be hobbies or activities that used to interest you in life, and you no longer engage in them, and instead you partake in alcohol drinking, then that is another warning sign. Decreased or reduced output or productivity because of alcohol-related use, that is also another sign. Indulging in high-risk behaviors, such as drunk driving, swimming when you're drunk, cooking when you're drunk. You have heard of people who have gone at home and they thought they needed to eat their food or to cook their food. And because they were drunk, they ended up sleeping and leaving the food to buy. Or they ended up getting the house burnt because they maybe blacked out while they were doing that. Or people who had accidents because of impaired judgment while driving. Or people who have died or drowned while swimming. Experiencing withdrawal syndrome symptoms, those are symptoms like nausea, shaking, sweating, those kind of symptoms, and you have to drink to avoid them. Irritability, impulsivity, depression, or general mood instability is also another sign. Then, there is noticeable decline in self-care and personal hygiene. So, can we do a quick test and see who qualifies to be an alcoholic? Or if you, the alcohol user, might be at the risk of being an alcohol, having alcohol use disorder? Have you ever felt that you need to cut down on your drinking? Have people annoyed you by criticizing your drinking? Have you ever felt bad or guilty about your drinking? Have you ever had a drink first thing in the morning to calm down your nerves or to get rid of a hangover? Well, did you answer yes to any of those questions? If you answered yes to one of those questions, then there is a possible problems. If you answered more than one yes, then it is likely that the problem is already in existence. Well, still hope. So, what do you think are the consequences of somebody who drinks? The Bible in the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 32 says, "In the end, it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper." What is that? Alcohol. So, the consequences that we might be facing could be one, terminal, chronic, and lifestyle illnesses such as liver cirrhosis, brain damage, different type of cancers, gastritis, diabetes, hypertension, and sometimes HIV. Mental health conditions such as depression, dementia, impaired judgment, and sometimes someone might not recover from speech, but sometimes the speech could get damaged. Injuries that have been caused maybe from accidents. Sometimes beyond the injuries, you have a loss of limbs or some body parts have to be reconstructed. Sometimes there is death that is caused by alcohol, maybe from accident or from withdrawals. Withdrawals are very dangerous. Alcohol withdrawal can kill you within minutes. Broken families are also some of the things that you are going to encounter as a consequence of using alcohol. This abject poverty, this domestic and gender-based violence, this aggression. In the book of Proverbs 20, verse 1, it tells us that wine is a mocker and beer is a brawler. What does that mean? It means it causes aggression. These job losses, there's alcohol poisoning, and there are things like hangovers, sometimes end up wasting your time and are unmanageable. So is there hope? Can alcohol use disorder or alcoholism be treated? Yes, it is treatable, it is manageable, but you might never fully recover from it. That is why you see that people go for treatment and relapse. What do we do in that case? One, you go for detoxification. That is done through certain types of medication. Also, you need to go for talk therapy to help you reconstruct and to deal with the issues that you have had, that you have experienced that have made you get to where you are. And sometimes you also need to go talk therapy to help you with techniques to help to aid you to be able to cope. And lastly, which is the most significant one, it is for you, the alcohol user, to be intentional on changing your lifestyle and making different choices. That is all I had for you. And may God bless you as you make intentional choices and as you come back to your senses. God bless you.